I would like to talk a little bit about your first mission trip. But before we do that, I want to read something which I saw as part of the promotional language for the book. And it says, a privileged American and first-time missionary plunges into the heart of the developing world, encountering unimaginable poverty and despair, yet at every turn, fate and hope surface to teach him what it truly means to be rich. Obviously, I read a lot of these things. That's very well put together. It's a great picture. It's a great narrative. It's very rich. But let's start here. You decide to take this mission trip. Who in your life thought you were crazy?
Well, starting with me, a lot of people did. Yeah. And I had said no, I don't know, 4 or 5 times to my brother when he just kept asking. And he didn't ask in any sort of persistent way, and he's my older brother. But he just kept asking, and I'd say no, and he'd move on. And I think he knew enough to know when the Holy Spirit was ready to compel me, it would happen. But yeah, it was, and I kept saying no because I couldn't imagine going to these sort of austere environments and not only being out of my physical comfort zone, but emotionally and spiritually. I couldn't really see engaging in kind of the God talk and everything. And so one of the things that hooked me to go was I went as an adult chaperone for a group of high schoolers. And so ostensibly I was going down to help them minister. And I thought, like, okay, I can just kind of work on their safety and count the ducklings and, all those kinds of things while they do the work. And little did I know that, I was going to get as much or more out of the trip as they were. And I was going to be ministered to by the locals we met as much as, or maybe more than I was ministering to them in terms of what I learned. So, yeah, I mean, I use that phrase about my privilege enabled me to go there, but it deluded me into thinking I knew what made people rich. And another sort of phrase I turn there is, the number of zeros in my bank account don't mean anything to somebody whose bank account is 0. And so these chances to interact with folks having nothing to do. I also, by the way, see the term material trappings in a whole new way, because when you're at a place like that, when you're out of your comfort zone, but when you're in a place that's socioeconomically so different from what I'm used to, the term trapping seems perfect, because they really are trappings at that time. And so this is just what opened up this, despite all those differences, the fact that there was a faith commonality there, whether it was with the in-country ministry team we worked with or the locals in the various villages and communities we had a chance to interact. The fact that we had this common faith and this common commitment to God and common followers of Jesus Christ, just it was everything. It brought out laughter, it brought out tears, it brought out hugs in an instant. And that was just something I had never really experienced before. And I just thank God for having my eyes open to that.
So when you agree to go on this trip, between when you agree to go on the trip and when you get on that plane, did you think of changing your mind?
Oh boy, that's a good question, Matthew. The reality is I didn't. So we have an expression in our family, which actually came from our business. That's "we do what we say." In fact, it's the motto of our business. We do what we say. And so I knew the whole decision was in saying yes to going. Once I'd said yes to going, the pit in the stomach didn't change because I knew I couldn't back out of it at that point. But it was a really weird, I would say weird is just the term for it, feeling. And even the packing for the trip, there was no laptop, there was no nice clothes. It was just bring some beat up pants and some shorts and some trail shoes. And, you'll get your t-shirts when you get down there. And just everything about it was so different. So.
Was there a moment in the trip that you can look back and say that was a turning point?
Gosh, there were several of them, but one that comes to mind was, I guess, on our I got in late on Sunday, had some travel delays. I guess our second full day there, Tuesday, we were in a church in one of the local communities, and the leader of our mission, who's an expat from the Carolinas who lives down there, was talking to the congregation, to the people in attendance, and said, okay, so if you see these people around, the white people around, and or the North Americans around in their t-shirts and stuff, they're ministers, and they're here to pray over you. They're here to hear your prayers and to pray to God for you. And so it was the whole praying over somebody, laying on the hands, these different kind of, prepositions that I wasn't really used to. But it hit me in that moment that my God, I'm a minister, and I am here, and these people are looking to me as an avenue to God, and as an amplification of their prayer and of their hopes and their dreams. And I cried at the moment. I'm getting goosebumps now reflecting on it, at the enormity of it, that wow, I am literally here as a minister. And it was a pretty awesome realization, both awesome in the wow, that's cool sense, and awesome in the like, boy, that's kind of daunting sense. So
That's very powerful.